This weekend, lawyers, judges, and millions of others across our country and all around the world mourned the passing of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I asked that Dave Summers film my brief remarks in tribute to Justice Ginsburg, here by the portrait of Justice Samuel Freeman Miller, to put into historical context the influence that Justice Ginsburg had on constitutional law that we now take for granted. In 1872, Justice Miller, who was the first justice from western Mississippi and the first justice from within our circuit, issued a decision in the slaughterhouse cases. As part of that decision, in interpreting the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution for the first time, Justice Miller said, "We doubt that any application of the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause will ever be made to any group other than what he referred to as the Negro race." He said a strong argument would be needed for its application to any other. Almost 100 years later, in 1971, a young Ruth Bader Ginsburg, still in her 30s, made that strong argument before the U.S. Supreme Court. She persuaded the 9 male justices that the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment applies to women, and states must have some rational basis to discriminate against women. In 1971, I had just graduated from high school, and there were many state laws and federal laws that discriminated against women with no rational basis. And there were some laws that discriminated against men with no rational basis. 2 years later, in 1973, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the lawyer, appeared again before the U.S. Supreme Court for oral argument as amicus in the Frontiero v. Richardson case. She argued that the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause requires a heightened level of scrutiny when a state discriminates on the basis of sex. She won that argument too. When I give orientations for jurors in this courthouse, I remind them that by appearing for jury service, they are not only performing their civic duty, they are exercising a right that was hard-won. It was not until the 1970s that courts, up to the Supreme Court, recognized that women have a right to serve on juries as well as a duty to serve on juries. That women who are litigants or criminal defendants have a right to a jury that is a fair cross-section of society, including their female peers. And that men have a right not to bear the full burden of jury service themselves. Justice Ginsburg was eager to come to Omaha in August to participate in our 2020 8th Circuit Judicial Conference and celebration of the centennial of the 19th Amendment. Despite the recent health issues that she had experienced earlier in the year, she was prepared to fly into Epley Airport, participate in our evening social events, and participate in a fireside chat answering questions posed by Circuit Judge Jane Kelly and by me. She was also going to have a reunion of sorts by serving on a panel with Joe Levin of the Southern Poverty Law Center, who represented the plaintiff in the Frontiero case, and Sharon Frontiero Cohen, the plaintiff herself. Justice Ginsburg was especially looking forward to that reunion. The fact that the conference was canceled, of course, had to do with the pandemic. It was not any lack of determination or courage on the part of Justice Ginsburg. Many thanks to all of you who volunteered to help with the 2020 8th Circuit Conference and celebration of the centennial of women's suffrage. And thank you for continuing to embody the traditions of civility, collegiality, public service, equal opportunity, and courage that Justice Ginsburg personified. I first met Justice Ginsburg in 2002 when I was a new judge and I had gone to Washington, D.C. for an orientation that included an evening at the U.S. Supreme Court. Justice Ginsburg was recovering from a serious bout with colorectal cancer, and she looked very frail. I was concerned for her health at that time. But she was determined to attend the event and to meet the new U.S. District Court judges, and she was very gracious interacting with all of us and telling us how much we were going to enjoy our work on the federal bench. I later saw Justice Ginsburg again here in Nebraska in 2006 when she spoke in Lincoln and in Omaha. We had dinner together in Lincoln, and she remarked later that she could tell that Nebraska had a great deal to offer. She enjoyed her visit here. In 2011, after I was the chief judge for the district, I went back to Washington, D.C. for a meeting of the chief district judges, and Justice Ginsburg was so gracious in inviting all of the female chief judges to the Supreme Court for high tea in the ladies' dining room. It was called the ladies' dining room well before there were any justices of the female sex on the U.S. Supreme Court. And she visited with us for a couple of hours, telling us stories about her undergraduate time at Cornell, studying under Nabokov, the famous author, and learning a bit about creative writing from him. She talked to us about her time at Harvard Law School and at Columbia Law School, and her work as a lawyer and as a judge and justice. So again, she was very gracious and collegial. In 2013, Justice Ginsburg and I exchanged gay wedding scripts. She had just performed a gay wedding for friends of hers, and she received a bit of pushback for that. That was controversial at that point in time. I have also performed a gay wedding, and we enjoyed each other's scripts. She was very much looking forward to coming here this August, and I know that she was disappointed when the pandemic forced the cancellation of that event. Well, I have a niece who is 6 going on 7, and she is a huge Ruth Bader Ginsburg fan. She dressed as her for Halloween because Ruth Bader Ginsburg is a superhero to girls and to young women and even to women of my age. So she has appealed to all the generations and certainly became an icon. in part because she did such heroic things over the years as a lawyer and as a justice, and in part because she was willing to engage in public outreach, engage in educating the public about civics and the law, the Constitution, the balance of powers. So she didn't shy away from that. And although she was a modest person, she saw that as part of her obligation as a justice, and we are enriched by this gift that she gave to us over the years of public outreach and education. Well, originally it was called a jabot. She wore a jabot. I wear a scarf just to keep my robe clean. She also has a variety of neck pieces that are collars that have become symbols of many things, including her dissents. She has one that she wears specifically for dissent. Today I am wearing my Ruth Bader Ginsburg pin that has a portrait of her with the words justice at the top. And I have other pins, including the I Heart RBG, but this one is my favorite because it includes the word justice, and I believe that she embodied the concept, the principle of justice.